All right, we are going to try out an exercise that can help you become very familiar with most of the major chords on a piano, and it can also help increase your speed. We are going to use the principle that we call the circle of fifths. What we mean by circle of fifths, that means that you are going to play chords that are having an interval of perfect fifths. What do I mean by perfect fifths? For example, when you start from the original note, let's say C, using the major scale of C, you are going to find a fifth note in that scale. So from C, you move to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G is the next note, which is a perfect fifth interval between C and G. Now from G, where do we move to? We move to G and we find a fifth note in the major scale of G. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So the perfect fifth is of G is to D. Now when we move to D, again, we do the same. Find a fifth note in the D major scale. All right? Which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've noticed that when we are following the circle of fifths, we are moving in perfect fifth intervals. So we moved from C to G to D to A. And that's how we are going to play our chords. For example, we play C, then G, then D, then A. All right? This is an exercise that you can take slowly, so I'm going to play all the major chords in the circle of fifths. I have showed you the principle, and in that video you can see I've drawn for you the circle of fifths in the order you use to follow the chords. All right, let's try it. I will take it slowly. You take time on each chord so that you can be able to master the different major chords. All right, here we go, starting with C. C, then G, then we go to D, then we go to A, then we go to E, then we go to B, then we go to G flat, which is F sharp, then we go to D flat, which is C sharp, all right, then we go to F flat, which is here, then we go to E flat, which is this, and then we go to B flat, which is this, then F, and then back to C. So we have circled around. I'll play it one more time for you without saying a lot. Alright, there it is. You can keep on increasing the speed. Perhaps you can spend one count on each chord. But now you see we've been jumping around a lot. I am going to try the second concept. After you're familiar with this, you can now try the concept of using inversions. What I mean by inversions is that you invert the chord. You are able to play a triad, for example, C. You're able to play it in three forms. When I say invert, that means you keep altering the order of the notes. For example, in the chord C, we have C, E, G. Now I can decide to hold this C from the highest point. Okay, so I replace fingers. I put the thumb here, this one here, so that I can hold this C from this side. And that's how I've inverted the C root position chord, and we call this first inversion. I can still do the same. Instead of playing the E from the lower end, I play it from the higher end. So I shift my fingers around again without changing the notes, and then I play it from here. So I end up having three versions of the same chord of C. All C chords, three different versions. So when I use inversions, it's going to become easier for me to play within the area rather than doing the jumping that I've been doing. C to G to D to A, a lot of jumping. So I am going to use inversions, and you notice that I'm going to be able to play closer. Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to take it real slow so that you follow. I am going to start with the second inversion of C, where the root note is in the middle. Then I look for the nearest inversion of G, which is here. And then I look for the nearest inversion of D, it's here. I'm using the first inversion of D. So if I may repeat just those three chords. I've played the second inversion of C. Just to clarify again, second inversion of a chord is when the root note is in the middle. First inversion of that same chord is when the root note is at the highest. And root position is when the root note is at the very beginning. Root note, that means that is a note that gives the chord its name. For the C chord, the root note C, okay, here the root note is the highest, and that we call the first inversion. If it's second inversion, the root note is in the middle, okay. If we are using scale degrees or scale positions, we are saying the root position of a chord is 1, 3, 5. The first inversion of that chord, still within that scale, we are saying it is 3, 5, 1. And second inversion would be 5, 1, 3. Hope that is clear. All right, now let me play inversion. So I go from second inversion of C to root position of G to first inversion of D, D, and then to second inversion of A, to root position of E. You see all the chords are within reach. And then I move for B, this is B. So I will move to the second inversion of B. And then I move to the root position of G flat, which is F sharp. And then I move to D flat, first inversion. This is the D flat, first inversion. Okay. So on the left hand, I'm just playing the root notes in octaves. Okay, from D flat, I move to A flat, second inversion. You see it's nearby. And then I go to E flat. All right. E flat, I could use first inversion because this is E flat. I use first inversion. All right. And then for B flat, I move to second inversion. It's near. And then I go to F, root position. And then back to C, first inversion. Let me try to play it without talking a lot so that you see how closely knit the chords are. Okay?